Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the John Mayer Gear Lounge show. I'm here today with Gabe, Jannis, and Ryan. And as you can probably tell by the guitars in their hands and the one behind Ryan, we are talking about the PRS Super Eagle and absolutely everything you need to know about this incredible guitar.
Yeah.
So,
Also, the back is equally as gorgeous as the front.
Oh
you
yeah,
never get to see that.
there are some guys liking the back very much at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, the flame is incredible, what they've
Also,
done.
on the neck
Wow.
is pretty crazy.
So, talking about the Super Eagle, obviously an incredibly limited guitar, incredibly rare. We're going to get into the pricing of it, history with John, how he's used it, the new kind of prototype with Honey that he's using with the Dead & Co., and so on and so forth. So, you guys, thank you all for coming on the show and talking about this incredible guitar. You guys have a ton of experience with it and the circuitry behind it and just the history, and it's going to be an incredible show. So, thank you again for coming on. And we got Jannis in Europe, Ryan on the East Coast, Gabe and I more or less on the West Coast.
Yeah.
It's incredible that we could all find the time and make something like this work. So huge thanks to you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
for having us.
Thanks.
Woohoo! So let's get into it. Let's talk about John and PRS because the Super Eagle is the kind of the first real meeting of John and PRS, them coming together. A lot of people kind of in the generic guitar world, I think, believe that the Silver Sky was the reason why John more or less went to them, but the Super Eagle was the very first thing that came out with the kind of relationship between John and Paul.
Yeah. Also, if you remember when he played the Clapton show at the Guard, he played that PRS NF3 with the 3 narrow-filled pickups. I think in an interview, that's when you're like, wow, that's a guitar. That's awesome. And I guess it sort of became more organic relationship with those two. And now it's the new guitar to have currently. We look on Instagram, it's 2 rocks and silver skies. See that, and Reunion Blues gig bags.
And anything by Chase Bliss. Those get you all the likes on,
Oh, yes.
on the ground.
Yeah. But I mean, PRS are, in my opinion, the best modern guitar maker. I think they all feel incredible, and I think just PRS, the pickups and the guitars and the hardware, the coil splits, the Brazilian board on the Super Eagle, all add up to make an incredible guitar. Yeah, it's just great company for 2 guitar nerds.
Yeah, true. But going back to the beginning and maybe trying to think what John thought in the beginning, if you want something like this and it doesn't exist, where do you go? There are only so many guitar builders who can build something like this. And I think PRS is at least one of the top choices for everybody.
Yeah, especially if he has the ability to call Paul himself and talk to him however long he wants to. Like the story that apparently was he sent an email to PRS saying, "This is John Mayer, I'm trying to speak to Paul Reed Smith." And they said, "I don't believe you. Send us a photo." And send him a photo saying, "Hi, it's John." And then,
That's true.
yeah.
Then I guess I'll patch you through then, John.
Yeah. Paul, John Mayer's calling for you.
Yeah. Line two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to put him on hold. I like to watch the light blink a little bit.
John, your first phone call to PRS has become internet lore. I have people here in the room that heard about that story, and one of the reasons they came to work for PRS was because of that internet lore. And I have my version of the story, but why don't you tell your version of the story?
Okay. I think that I had just sort of cemented going out with Dead and Company. And I was looking at the history of post Jerry Garcia Grateful Dead incarnations and what the other guitar players were doing for gear. And I couldn't quite figure out what would be authentic to me. Like, what would I play in a way that would still keep my identity and be true to me? And I thought, it's kind of a PRS thing, you know? Like, what would the modern day sort of alembic be, you know? I went, it's kind of a PRS, you know? And so I remember getting on the phone with you. I was in the studio. I got on the phone with you, and I think one of the first things you said to me was, I've been looking for you. It was something like that. Like, I've been looking, funny you should call because I've been looking for you.
Yeah.
Does that comport?
It's, and the way I tell the story is that you had made this decision and announced it, and then you called PRS, and the person on the phone didn't believe it was you, and you had to hold up a picture of you. Say, it really is me.
Oh no, I did do that. That's right. I don't remember
what happened
listening.
exactly, John?
I think that happened. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't remember till now, but that absolutely happened.
Yeah.
I do that from time
It
to
really
time.
is me. It really is me. I'm like,
I think, Jannis, that's a very strong point, is that you got John, you know, he's the modern guitar hero right now, really, for a lot of people out there, and one of the only true guitar heroes from this past generation that are out there. And you got someone like Paul, who's the top of his game, makes some of the most premium, incredible guitars in the world. And I know they said it on the Andertons videos with the guitars, but it's true. You got two people at the very, you know, top of their game, and it's a match made in heaven. Why not have one of the best guitar players in the world with one of the best builders?
You also have two of the biggest nerds on earth, probably. You can put them in a shed, close the door, and they will never get bored or anything. And you see that with the outcome of the actual guitars. Then, is it if it's the Super Eagle or if it's the Silver Sky, both pretty much top guitars. There's not much that can reach up to them, in my opinion. And it is like it is. John is a genius in a musical way, and Paul is a genius in a craftsmanship way, in a guitar builder way. So
I think it's pretty cool how they, like, basically John could have went and got a replica made of Jerry's guitar, his amps, and everything, and he didn't. He sort of traversed his own way into finding in his mind what that tone is that makes up that Garcia, but also in a John way, in a way that John needs to play, what he likes. Because ultimately, if you like what you're playing, you're going to play better, and then the rest is just music. It's cool.
So should we talk about prototypes then, and kind of the timeline of when the Super Eagle started to be born, more or less?
Is that you needed a tool to do a job, and you showed up several times to look at all the neck shapes, all the scale lengths, every different pickup we made. You tried everything in every position. You started to rearrange the Legos until we started to hone it in and make prototypes. And what you needed was a tool to do that job. And the first time I walked on the stage and you had those two tops and those two 410 cabinets and that guitar, and it sounded exactly like you needed it to get that whole ball rolling, I was, oh my God, John, thanks for giving us the nod and the chance to do it, because I never had the chance with him.
Yeah, well, yeah. And thank you for helping me kind of carry a thing forward without, I just didn't want to be holding a guitar that looked exactly like it. You know, the one Jerry was playing. I didn't, you know, I mean, that's been the whole puzzle, is how do you pay respect to it without standing too squarely inside of the silhouette of the thing.
Oh man, remember those photos on Instagram? Like, what's happening? What's this guitar with all these switches on it? And then he comes and does this Phil Lesh stuff, and there's a guitar. And it's like the color's amazing. He's playing, like Ryan just puts in the chat, that Milkman pedal steel.
Yeah.
And then it sort of evolved, and then we get another photo in, what was it, August 2015, with the unveiling of this, oh my God, this guitar, 3 knobs, 5 switches on it, what's happening? And then we hear it, and it's, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Do we remember, maybe you guys remember, I'm trying to think, what came first, like the announcement of Dead & Company, or was it the Super Eagle?
Okay. I think that I had just sort of cemented going out with Dead & Company. And I was looking at the history of post Jerry Garcia Grateful Dead incarnations and what the other guitar players were doing for gear. And I couldn't quite figure out what would be authentic to me. Like, what would I play in a way that would still keep my identity and be true to me? And I thought, it's kind of a PRS thing.
That's what editing is for later on, but this is fun as we go. But I remember like John was doing the host of one of the Tonight Show or something, and then he ended up playing with Bob Weir, and I thought that was the first time that they're like, hey, we should maybe do this more. And then lo and behold, I think the rest is Dead & Company history, or Dead history.
Point being, it was about the same time frame roughly where the Super Eagle was getting born and Dead & Company formed, which you can pretty much assume that John kind of after it was 2014 he left Fender, I'm pretty sure, where he posted on his Instagram, places of all, to announce that, hey, for those of you wanting my signature guitar model, it's been discontinued, I'm leaving Fender. And I remembered I just bought my JM Sig Strat in November of 2011, and I remember thinking, I've only had this guitar for 3 years, and thank God I bought it, because they're gone. And he did that, and then right away he starts talking about going to Dead & Company, and like you say, playing with Bob Weir, and then next thing you know, the Super Eagle's born. So it was kind of a very purposeful decision of his to be like, if I'm going to do this thing with the guys from Grateful Dead, I need to develop my sound for this band that's a part of my own touring sound.
Yeah. And looking at the announcement of the Super Eagle 1 in 2015, and now looking back when the Super Eagle 2 was released, there were a couple companion videos from PRS showing a bit of the development process and how not straight-lined it was. It was a lot of back and forth. Is it a narrow field pickup, or is it a normal humbucker, or is it a different 4 or 8 type pickup? There were at least 7 or so design revisions. So that might well have taken them a couple of years to get there in the end. And we've seen what Gary meant, the pictures on Instagram, they were not the end of the road. That was just the start. So much changed on the way until we arrived at the Super Eagle in the end. So
also because talking development-wise, in the start of the Super Eagle, if you guys remember, had the preamp knob right here, and then a couple shows into the 2015 tour, it was gone.
Yep.
I guess he realized he wasn't using that knob or he didn't need it.
Yeah, it could have been a volume, it could have been a tone knob.
Maybe it was a volume, and he realized, oh man, I'm never adjusting it.
Right.
And
I think in the PRS video, it's shown once as a preamp gain knob and once as an additional tone knob. So no idea what it is.
And it's almost one of those things where he's not going to know until he's on stage playing with it, after a few nights being like, okay, just kidding. Now in the room, the studio or whatever, I liked it, but now I'm like, I don't use it. I don't need it. And that's when the real revisions kind of keep coming on to really fine tune a guitar like the Super Eagle.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
And I think it's interesting going, to the pickups point that Jannis was making, but going, with the bold narrow field, I'm kind of curious on how those came about, whether it was the aesthetics, because we know John is the aesthetics guy. Fast forward years and years later, now we have Honey with the full size pickups. So it's like, did he have a moment where, the sort of the full size pickup was the tone I was looking for? It was kind of a curious journey to get there. And I think early on it was sort of a bold move to try something different. I was kind of going back through the videos of early Super Eagle, right? Super Eagle 1. And John primarily played in the bridge middle pickup split sort of position. And I find that kind of curious. And then, Gabby, definitely talk about your experience and sort of what you hear in that position.
Well, okay, so now I guess the rig of du jour is the guitar into Harlow Deluxe. This guitar thrives through a clean amp. A loud clean amp with air moving, reverb, and you're golden. And how Ryan was talking about the sound in 2015 being middle and bridge split, it gets you there. But my only, not concern, my only dilemma with it is the middle pickup on its own feels and sounds bigger. So like, if we go, here's just the middle pickup, volume on 10, tone on like, let's say tone on 10, EQ and treble boost off. When that's engaged, you'll hear a huge difference. So here is just the middle pickup. Right? And now we go middle and bridge, no split yet. Now John's tone, middle split, EQ, and treble on. It's a little thinner, more hi-fi as he wanted to. And now if you go to just middle split with EQ and treble on. Similar, just sounds more like a middle pickup. Yeah. So I think that with the J mod cranked like it was in 2015, and you could hear it's very percussive, that amp. If you listen to, like the one that I listened to a lot that really got me in the J mod mindset was the Show at the Gorge. That's where I really got the amp. Because before I was like, oh, it's a clean type amp, but that amp, it sounds like there's some distortion on it, but there isn't, but it sounds just very percussive. And with the middle and the bridge pickup split, middle split with the bridge pickup, EQ and treble on, it gets you the Jerry tone. But I think going where he is now with Honey and the humbuckers, as opposed to the middle pickup being a narrow field, it just sounds just a little bigger. Nothing crazy, I mean, but it just sounds fuller, I think. Especially through a louder deluxe reverb like you used at the City Field show with Wolf. It just sounds fuller, and the amp is breaking up a little bit, so when you dig in hard, it could distort, but if you dynamically pick with your right hand and manipulate the volume control, it can go from pretty clean to it wants to push the amp a little more.
And the really fun part of that for both of us was figuring out, well, what makes that sound? What are the variables that contribute to that sound sounding like that?
So
and scale length.
You don't know this. I called Jimmy Herring and we both went middle pickup.
Middle pickup. That's right. In fact,
solos on the middle pickup.
When I played Wolf, the only pickup that was really working was the middle pickup. And when I say working, I don't mean working for me. I mean like operational. So the neck pickup had to shorten it. I think it was only one wire was, because, you know, obviously nobody wants to sort of touch it. And the bridge pickup was, I think, a little kind of what you call, well, it was a little bright. You call it ice picky. You call it ice picky.
Yeah.
And the middle pickup. Now, I'm not a middle guy. My entire life has been about taking out the mids.
Yeah.
And you actually turned me on to musical mid-range.
Yeah.
And I had never experienced, to me, and I think a lot of guitar players, mid-range is kind of like this scientific kind of spike in a thing that you're supposed to need, because I guess it's like helps everything else around it move forward. And you turned me on to the idea of mid-range being a musical thing. And now with Dead & Company, at least, I spend most of my time on the middle pickup. And now I'm, recording guitar on records where I go, give me the middle pickup.
Now, the middle humbucker on the Super Eagle, that's it's not a traditional mini humbucker, but it's a mini humbucker, right?
I guess it's PRS's take on a mini humbucker.
Yeah.
Also,
I think
note,
the philosophy behind it is that the string sensing area is just smaller, but it's a humbucker basically.
yeah. Also, note all this could and would change depending on your pickup height.
Yep, true.
Stock, the pickups came pretty high on the guitar. I lowered mine quite a bit. Now the question is, do you want the pickups to do the work, raising them, or do you want the amp to do all the work, so lower the pickups and make the amp louder?
The scale length too, because how much those strings are moving at that particular spot on the guitar. And I know that we wanted to talk about do-it-yourself stuff later on, but you know, Jerry had the duals. I'm gonna say my favorite Jerry tones was when he had the dual sounds, and they were split, so they weren't actually in humbuck mode. And I think that's important as we were talking about this. You know, what's in humbuck mode, what's in not humbuck mode, because the strength of that output is going to, you know, depend on that, and the sort of the fullness, the full body, the clarity. You know, the dual sound, like actually I got as part of my notes here, because you got to remember that the Stratocaster was Jerry's big thing for a long time, and then, you know, Stratoblaster was installed. So now we're getting to onboard electronics, but you're going with the single coils pretty much from that point on. And then in '78, Wolf gets DiMarzio dual sounds for the bridge in the middle. And Jerry played that with single coils, basically, so the tap. And I think what's interesting at that scale length, you know, that's right around, when you do the single coil, that's right at, it's calculated, this is true, the Stratocaster's middle pickup is exactly on the string landing when you split that middle pickup too. So it kind of makes me think, like in Jerry's mind, he got the full humbucker with a hotter pickup, but the tone was still reminiscent of a Stratocaster, and plus the scale length was the Stratocaster 25.5. So that was kind of like Jerry's thing, and then he switched over to the Super 2s. So Jannis and Gabby, like, what's your thoughts on like the middle pickup split versus full humbuck mode?
Well, I guess personally coming from Les Pauls, I like the fatness. No. I like this middle pickup not split, using some like whereas if we were to split it, just sounds a little thinner, a little bit, nothing crazy. Also, if we're talking about full spectrum in a band mix, maybe a middle pickup, or maybe using middle pickup on like humbuckers could be too fat. Do you want to be super authentic to that sound, or do you want to play your own sound and try to make it work?
Yeah, I think it's something in between. It's not the standard honky middle pickup, in my opinion. It's more, something in the middle. And in split, I think it doesn't change the volume that much. It makes it more acoustic-y a bit. And especially when you engage the preamp and the treble boost, that then goes full into that direction. But it's not a standard narrow field pickup. I know it. It's a JM narrow field. It has lowered pole pieces. So I'm not actually sure what it is. As far as I understood, the normal narrow fields are PRS's 5708 pickups. So basically vintage PRFs in a smaller package. I'm not sure what this is, to be honest. But it does its job.
Jannis, you made a great point of it being acoustic style.
Yeah.
If you have like a hard deluxe or maybe a deluxe reverb or an amp that has a bright switch, and if you engage the bright switch, it gets you more into that acoustic style realm.
Yeah.
Especially when you engage the preamp and the treble boost. Sounds really hi-fi. Yeah, just wanted to add that.
I think it's cool, and I think that's where the Paul Reed Smith influence comes in with his sort of. I sort of geeked out a lot about and just picking up little cues here and there about his pickup design and how he designed pickups. So the fact that, I mean, these DiMarzios I have in there, there's a big difference between coil split and then full humbuck mode. And then, you know, to hear, you know, firsthand your impressions, Gabby, of like it still sounds full to some degree. There's not too much difference. That's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think also a lot of has to do with. I saw some of the comments on the group chat, or sorry, not the group, on the post we post on the Jam Lounge. People saying how to get that sound also, but a lot of it has to do with the secret sauce not being so sexy. A lot of it has to do with your hands. I have pretty dark hands in general. So depends how your hands sound. That would influence your EQ, and then that overall how you pick. What kind of pick do you use? If I use a Tortex or I use the blue chip to me sounds a little thinner. If you go to the middle pickup with the treble and EQ on. Right, or something like as opposed to the Tortex, right? The Tortex Flow. It all adds up. I think the Super Eagle is the, maybe let's say like the canvas maybe, and maybe your picks of the brushes. How do you approach dealing with the instrument? How do you approach with the tone controls, or I mean, there's a lot of options with the guitar in general, but your sound for Jerry or just John type Dead and Co sound could be different from someone else's approach. Now, if you plug into the J mod with this guitar, it'll sound totally different.
Yeah.
The
J mod being a very dark amp.
A very dark amp. You need to run the volume high on that amp. I played it at the PRS Artist Lounge in Burbank. Also with no reverb. It's very punchy in your face. So it just really depends on a lot of things, how you play and everything. But if you know how to play the style of music, then you're one step closer, and then everything else is just variables.
Yeah, true. But one thing, as we are the John Mayer gear launch, and Gabriel is now robbing the bass or taking the bass out of that group with the gear being the bass. We all know tone is in the gear, so
exactly.
Everything is fine.
Just keep on buying stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. If we want to talk about gear on a serious note, the Super Eagle really likes a Klon style pedal, in my opinion.
Yeah. I have a different opinion.
Well, tell me, Jannis.
It will take everything.
Yes, it will take everything. That's for sure. Even if you run like the Tube Screamer as like the solo, as like your solo pedal, even in the position, it'll sound like each individual how it's supposed to sound.
Exactly.
So you can get it almost like John's tone, or sometimes the Slipknot, where he's just playing sometimes Klon with the Tube Screamer. If you get the same setup with middle pickup split with the bridge pickup, EQ and treble on, it'll sound just like it. So it does take, again, it does take a lot of pedal as well. Clean boost as well, the Katana, just make it even more hi-fi, I think, which is a good thing. If you put the Katana with the Flint with a tremolo on the Flint, you get instant Stella Blue. And you get a beautiful, clean sound. And you can translate that to every pickup. So it takes the pedals really well. It's not an amp, but it handles pedals really well.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always thought that the Klon was like the perfect complement to Dead and Company tones in general. And cruising on like the Jerry Garcia forums, I have the Custom Shop 69s. The middle pickup on that guitar plus a Klon into a Hot Rod Deluxe is just like blissful. It's like 72 Jerry, in my opinion. You know, just like
Yeah.
And by the way, that's like sub $1,000 in gear.
Yeah.
So if I was to play devil's advocate a little bit, yeah, and that's another part of the segment, but that's a good way to go.
But yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. Also, you put the Howard Deluxe on let's say your EQ, whatever it is, and then put the bright switch on, middle pickup on a Strat or a Silver Sky, light overdrive and a clone style pedal, you're golden.
Instant Jerry.
Yeah, and then that point is, can you play the style? And I think had John realized over the years, you don't have to overplay so much a lot of the time. Almost saying less is more is very that style, or also having the ability to play super fast like Jerry would, but also bring it back to just playing the melody, and you're golden.
Bringing it kind of back around, Gabe and Jannis, did you guys each want to take a turn describing your experience purchasing the Super Eagle? And we can kind of lead into, Gabe, if you want to start off how you purchased it, we can all talk about the Super Eagle 1 and the birth and its uses, and then we can go into, Jannis, your experience purchasing the Super Eagle 2 years later, and differences John's use then.
Perfect. So this is, let's say, spring 2016. I'll give you the full story, play by play. I am flying from Berkeley back home to Virginia for spring break. I land in DC maybe right before noon, and I go on my on my phone, and I see Nightingale 68, Jan. I see her post all these black and white photos of John with the guitar from PRS, a video. What's this guitar? Oh my God. And I'm watching the video as I'm leaving the plane. And I'm like, holy shit, there's a new guitar out. Oh my God. A PRS? Oh my God. The guitar you were playing with Dad and Company, I saw at the Garden. Holy shit. And I talked to my parents and I said, look, my biggest selling point was the investment part. I said, because before that, the guitar I dreamed of was the bottom mouse of Skinner Burst.
Ooh, yeah.
I saw it in Musician's Friends magazine and I circled it. And that was at the time a $10,000 Les Paul reissue. And I say, look, I guarantee you it'll cost more in the future. I brought up the black one, for instance. I said, look, there's a black one that's $25K at that point for sale. Trust me on this. So we go back home, we talk, we decide. I call my PRS dealer called Action Music in Falls Church. The guy didn't know what it even was yet. He had to go on PRS website and was like, oh, this guitar? Oh, let me get back to you. Gets back to me, says, okay, I want to pass you over to Carlos at Chuck Levin's. Chuck Levin's, if some people don't know, is where Paul Reed Smith was born, basically. And we talked to Carlos, and it says, yeah, we just sold one. If you want, you can get. If you're really in it, we can try to get you one. Give me 30 minutes. 30 minutes goes by. Well, we got you one. How do you want to pay now? Do you want to put a deposit? We paid out. We did all that. And at that point, there was the waiting game. So calculate the whole guitar was purchased or deposited, if I remember correctly, within maybe 45 minutes of the release video. So we acted fast. Then the waiting game. Supposedly it was supposed to be May. Then it got delayed more. July, delayed more, because I think they're having a problem with the wood, if I remember correctly. Then I go to vacation in Argentina, see family. I get a text from my mom in August, like mid-August, saying something arrived, and it was this. in the Paisley case. Justin, I'll send you the photo of that. I still have the photo, so I'll send you that. And I waited 2 more days to play it. And I got back from Argentina, plugged it in, and lo and behold, there was a dirty pot. So I called Chuck Levin and said, hey, the guitar isn't working. It's cutting off in some areas. Bring it in. And I took it to the tech and I said, look, I think it's a dirty pot because when you turn the volume knob, you hear a crackle. Check it in, and it was right. I got a free setup also out of it, so it was awesome. That was about like an hour drive from where we lived, far, the store. And then you come back home and you see the videos, go middle position split, bridge, EQ and treble on, you do. Right? And like, holy shit, that's the sound. Right? You go. Or you do even and that's it. A guitar straight into amp and holy shit, basically. And then seeing him play it was incredible on stage. Like, oh my god, that's the guitar I have. Oh my god. Because I saw him twice before I got the guitar at Fenway Park with a dad, and he was still playing one with the F-hole, which we'll get to later. And then it was great to see him being played, and then now throw it over to Jannis, because apparently all of a sudden, mid-2016, sorry, my bad. 2016, he did all this, and the guitar is awesome. Played every single day. The guitar it's been played. There was one time at Berkeley, in my apartment, the guitar fell straight on the floor like this. I panicked for like 2 minutes and then realized, oh, it's fine. It's a guitar. Has some dings. It's flown plain. It's lit. It's a guitar.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's hit against the wall a couple times. It has some chips. It's not mint. That's for sure. 2017 summer tour comes along. Like, hell yeah, the guitar is still being played. Now here I pass up to Jannis. What's this?
Yeah.
A green Super Eagle is born.
It's actually funny to hear your story, because mine is in a way similar, but in one way drastically different, because I don't come from the same Grateful Dead background.
Yeah.
We just don't have it here.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have, I haven't grown up with it. So, and I'm still trying to access it for some, since I have the Super Eagle practically. But for me, we have to start with this guitar.
Oh,
this is
fine.
my PRS Custom 24, which is incidentally also green, but this is 1 year older than my Super Eagle. So after playing guitar for about 10 years on and off, and maybe playing longer than it sounds, I bought this as my first real guitar. I just have another very old Epiphone somewhere in the cellar. This is my first real guitar, and I decided it to be a PRS because of different reasons. So I come from the background of being some kind of PRS nut. And I saw the announcement of the first Super Eagle, and I thought, wow, what a crazy guitar. And I looked after it and looked at what it can do, what the switches are, and I thought, maybe you see one, maybe not, and I didn't see one. I talked about it to my dealer once, and he told me it was sold before it came in, pretty much. And well, I brought it off. I thought, okay, I have a PRS, it's nice, good to go. Then the green one was announced, and I thought, wow, there's another one, and there are 20 more now. Maybe you see one this time. And one afternoon I'm at work with a colleague. We're doing something it wasn't really our job to do, but we did some maintenance on some laptops, and we were just us two in the room, and I was surfing the internet while waiting for an installation. And I saw that my dealer had a Super Eagle in store. And I looked at it and I told him, okay, I have to get on the phone. And I phoned them, do you still have it? And they told me, yeah, I put it back for you. And I refreshed the site, and it was gone. They literally, they took it out of the store.
That's a good dealer.
That was really nice from them. They only had this one. So next occasion I went there, and I thought this is the similar story. I thought it to be some kind of investment. It's one of the seldom guitars where you pay a certain amount and you will get that amount. Pretty much irrelevant how it looks. And I played it, and I really wanted to buy it only if it suits me, only if I like it. Well, I have it, so I must have liked it. It's again, I'm not a real Grateful Dead fan, so I can't play any of the Grateful Dead or Dead and Company tunes on it. I recognize where it's coming from, of course, but for me, and that's what I meant with my comment earlier, it takes everything. For me, it's also PRS, and if you switch off the EQ and the boost, and just select one of the neck pickup or the bridge pickup, it sounds exactly like my Custom 24. So from that point of view, this is a fun investment for me, more or less, and something not everybody has. So happy to share it, pretty much.
That's
Jannis,
awesome.
Let me ask you a question. This is my only, maybe with you also, my only quarrel, I guess you would say, with the Super Eagle being released is that they don't say what number you have of the run. That's my only, how I say, like my only thing against it, because in the cavity it says 1 of 500 or 1 of 100, I think.
I think there's 100 Super Eagle 1s and 100 Super Eagle 2s, like worldwide, right?
100 ones and 122s.
Okay,
122s, okay.
But yeah, it just says 1 of the run. It doesn't say what number you have that run. That's my only gripe with that.
I feel you. I haven't thought about it that much, but I feel you. On the other hand, it seems to be more or less PRS tradition not to tell you.
Yeah.
See, the Nebulas, they didn't tell you.
Yeah.
The launch edition Silver Sky, they didn't tell you. And I think even the Dragons, they don't tell you.
No, exactly. Not even on the spec sheet do they say what number it is.
No,
and even the Nebula, I reached out to my dealer, who then got in touch with PRS on my behalf to try and tell me what number out of 500 I had, and same thing. They were like, no, PRS it's their standard core line serial number. They're all pre-generated, and as they get made, they just get stamped and out the door, and that's the way they want to keep it.
And with the Super Eagle, you have the 2 serial numbers, the normal PRS serial number at the top, and then the private stock serial number, so you can, you know in what relation your guitar is to the other guitars and the other private stock guitars, but you have got no idea which Super Eagle it is. So yeah,
can you zoom that in on the camera, the back?
No,
Jannis?
I won't share it. I'm sorry.
I guess, you don't want to.
I almost tricked him.
I don't really mind. I mean, I showed mine in the video. I don't really mind.
I do it for some kind of strange reason. The fake PRS game is strong at the moment, and I don't want to give them serial numbers that are real.
Well, you can't really see it, but you can see it slightly, the difference in color.
Yeah.
The Sharpie from the 2 PRS serial number and the private stock, and then the signatures from Paul himself, and I think somebody else.
It's Paul at the bottom, and Paul Miles, that's the director of private stock at the top.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be one that almost John would have signed himself, you know what I mean? Like when they did the next.
He has. In here.
Yeah,
it's
and
a real signature in here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I think it's kind of smart that PRS did that, but it was kind of like a good move on their part, just CYA from a business perspective. I think that makes sense. I mean, they're smart business people. You know, they got to do their thing.
Yeah.
You bring up a point, though. Sorry, I wanted to ask, what are the differences between the 1 and the 2 for the Super Eagle? Because I don't really know that much myself.
This one is green, and that one is not green.
Also, the wood. There
are a couple differences.
I think Jannis is African rosewood.
No, African blackwood.
Blackwood, and then mine is Brazilian rosewood.
Yep.
Regardless of if it's a Super Eagle or not, the Brazilian rosewood is the best wood. Like, oh man.
I want the wood now.
I got a question for Gabby. How long after you got the Super Eagle did you upload your first YouTube video? Because I'm pretty sure I was like one of your first subscribers.
Oh, maybe.
The one that's gone now, right?
Yeah, maybe couple, maybe it's 6 or 7 months after, because the YouTube thing was my final project for Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
And I took that one down because I was like, oh, it was good, but my playing wasn't up to par as it is now, and there wasn't. I wasn't using real mics, and the lighting was pretty bad in my cubicle apartment. I mean, that apartment was, oh man, tiny. But yeah, about 6, 7 months after that, I think.
Okay, so sorry, just going back. So basically, the
Yep.
only differences between the 1 and the 2 is Sunburst versus the hemp green, Brazilian rosewood versus African blackwood.
Yep. The
Ryan-
inlays are different. This
Okay.
one has some kind of fancy, colorful shell material. I'm not sure if it's power. I don't have my my specs.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The eagle is pretty silver here. Yours is
Yeah. I'm actually jealous of that because that's a very pretty eagle with the etched feathers in it.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice one.
and
I'll
there's-
bring up pictures to show you guys.
And the thing also that was a big factor was the headstock and how it was shaped.
Yeah, but that's not different between the Super Eagles. That's a
No.
difference between the Super Eagle and all other PRS guitars. And
Yeah,
the main reasons why you can't get that feeling.
yeah, like right here. But I mean, I think hardware-wise are the same. The back, yeah, they're both gorgeous.
Yeah, but yours is a 2-piece and mine is a 1-piece.
Yeah.
That's the only other difference now.
Ryan, do you know anything about the circuitry? Have you researched that it's all?
There's a theory that they're different, and I haven't seen much of the first one in the guts, but the second one definitely has like a revision indicator on it. So I would venture to say that there was a revision on the electronics as well at some point. Yeah.
Yep. This one's got a V2, right?
Yes. Yep. Says V2 right on it. Not sure if that's indicative of, the maybe just complementing the Super Eagle 2, or if that's an actual revision of sorts. And who knows, maybe the first one has revision 2 and they never changed it. So we'll leave it up to chance right now on what that might be.
Maybe the first revision was in the prototype with the additional knob here.
That's a good point too. Yeah. Yeah. And
We're guessing.
Yeah, totally guessing right now. I know they both had the 65 JM things, or what the JM
Pickups?
pickup, the 58 15.
58, 15 JMs. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was a
yeah.
question in the Facebook post as well. We can answer that later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
pickups.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to clarify the differences
Yeah.
because me personally, I'm like, I didn't never even really knew, to be honest. The differences, I knew there was a 1 and a 2, but I didn't really know. So I think for a lot of people, that'll be great clarification. So.